Yeah, no, he's a lot of fun, and it challenges me. Taking these ideas and working them down into more manageable steps. I'll say that, right? So our son is 7, and he loves this stuff. He asks about it all the time. He looks for ways to earn money. He wants to be an active giver, saver, and spender. And we're even using the Every Dollar app with him now to put together some budgeting habits that allow him to be more involved. And we always include him in any financial decision, large or small, just so he has the benefit of having those conversations. And having the conversation with a 7-year old forces me to answer questions that if I was having the conversation with, an adult client or my spouse, we're not going to ask a lot of those questions, right? That a 7-year old asks, and so it forces me to have to answer them, and it causes me to dig a little bit deeper and to really peel back the layers of, you can imagine a 7-year old. One of the most basic questions I'm going to get is why, right?
Why?
Why are you doing it?
Right.
And so
Yep.
ask yourself that question because it's a harder question to answer than you think it is. You may think you already know the answer, but put it into words. Try to write it down. And if you can challenge yourself with that or have somebody else, an accountability partner, challenge you, then you may be able to set up a plan for success that is reducing or stripping away some of the things that are getting in the way. And then you can celebrate that. You'll have more space to be able to celebrate. I think
Yeah.
you talked about budgeting and celebrating that first budget. I'll plug the Every Dollar app here because one of the things that it does is it gives you that little momentary celebration where you get sort of this virtual high five for creating what they call an Every Dollar budget, which is a zero-based budget. And so as soon as you achieve that, the screen changes and you get this little reward, you get this little moment of recognition for achieving that Every Dollar budget, for setting up a budget that balances essentially. And it's fun. It becomes a little bit of a competition. And then once you get, you're always looking for ways to adjust the budget to make sure that it's an Every Dollar budget. And so it really doesn't take much. It costs nothing. There's nothing audible. You're not sharing that experience with anybody. It's just you. But it does. It feels good. And so if you can find ways, there's apps for mental health that do the same thing. You can set up recurring schedules of different moments of recognition. You can set up achievements that once you input different data and you meet those goals, you will get those virtual recognitions. And so you can almost have this like virtual recognition partner that is putting together recognition for you, or at a minimum, it's reminding you to put those recognitions in place.
And if you think about like the law of attraction with everything you
Yeah.
just said, right? The more you're celebrating, the more these, whether it's virtual or personal high fives you're getting, right?
Hmm.
The more you're going to get.
That's
The
right.
more you do it, the more you're going to get it. So we truly feel this celebrating the wins is monumental into helping you achieve your goals, creating these new healthy money habits. This celebrating the win is making that stick.
For anybody that thinks that you can over celebrate, right, and then you'll dilute the effect, you'll spend too much time and effort, or maybe even your finances on the celebration. We just want to challenge you. Try to over celebrate,
Yep.
and what we think you'll find is that the value is greater than the cost. So we think this is something that's really worth leaning into.
And that call of action from your lips to my husband's ears, because when I was talking to him about this episode, he was like, well, I do think you can celebrate too much. And I was like, well, I don't think you can.
Try.
I do think it needs to be in line with, right? Like you're not celebrating writing your first budget by going away for a week,
That's
right?
right.
Like
But if we're being
hopefully
intentional, we
there's,
won't, right? So if we're doing the
yeah,
emergency fund, if we're building the budget, if we're making sure that, like you just said, if the reward matches the effort, right, matches the goal,
yes, yes,
then we're
yep,
not going to do those things. And that's why I say try to over celebrate because it's hard. It's hard to
yep.
find the time. It's hard to do all the planning. You won't have enough time to coordinate enough celebration into your life to categorize it as over celebration. If you
And
are, then you've probably already blown your budget and all the other expectations, and you're sabotaging all your own goals and stuff like that. So I really do. I think it's impossible. I think it's impossible to
right.
prioritize and be intentional and over celebrate.
I think when you're not, you're erring on the side of I'm not celebrating enough
Yep.
versus what
Yep.
you're saying over celebrating, because that's a whole nother beast. You're really not over celebrating. You're overspending. You're not living the life that you're
That's it.
choosing. You're on autopilot again.
That's it.